Hey, creative ones, it's Melissa. I wanted to come on here and do a quick video about why I choose to offer premium coaching and mentoring. So why do I charge a premium? This is really important. This has come up a lot lately. And I want to be super clear, and this may also support you in your own business and your own offering, but I want to, and if you're here, say hello. Awesome. Okay. So this has come up a lot in some of my conversations, and so I figured I would just do a quick video about it and sort of clear things up and why I think it's so important for creatives, for healers, for way showers, for coaches, mentors, change agents, facilitators to really get clear in elevating their pricing from dollars to hours, right? Like getting paid for your time versus if we're working in the quantum, if you're working in multi-dimensional activations and you're working, in this, and grounding this 5D business, right? Which is a multi-dimensional business. We are multi-dimensional beings. Your business has got, I see so many facilitators right now and incredibly gifted channelers and light workers and empaths and incredibly, there's so much beauty and light coming through them and their gifts and their services, their creative gifts, their divine feminine gifts, so powerful. And they're still stuck in this third dimensional business structure. And so it starts with the around money. It starts around the business framework and the structure and how you're charging for pricing. So I wanted to share a little bit about what I do and how I've gotten to charge $5,000 for 6 weeks of private mentoring with me, because it's multidimensional and because I'm committed to working with people who are truly invested in the results that they want to create. They know that they accept that they create, we create our own realities, and they're committed to elevating into that lifestyle, right? And to grounding that reality, grounding that truth into their reality, their multidimensionality, right? Into the fifth dimension, because that's what many of us are being called to do right now, is to really anchor in these new businesses, these new creations, these next level, everything, right? Into the fifth dimension. So I wanted to share a little bit about how I got to where I am. So number one is I've been doing this work using the arts for transformation. I started in intuitive painting. I have a master's degree in transpersonal psychology, a clinical training with a focus in creative expression. I know my shit. I know my craft. I've been doing it for 20 plus years. In fact, I don't know anyone who has the training and experience that I do, very much on the cutting edge. It's not, and I don't mean to say that arrogantly, it's just this has been my passion and my purpose. And if you know me and if you've worked with me, you get that. This has been my, focus for the last 20 years. And so I really know this work. I've journeyed in the creative process and it's shamanic art. I've journeyed with many, many, many people, including my own powerful journey and awakening. I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening back in 2004. So, and I trained as a coach. That next year, I started my coaching training, which is when I finished my clinical master's degree. So, I've been doing this for a while. I know what works and what doesn't work, right? So 20 years of experience and mastery. So when you hire me as your mentor and your coach, you are not only getting a business and life coach, you're not only getting a clinically trained transpersonal psychotherapist and expressive arts therapist. You're not only getting energy work and all of that. You're getting that in one. That's the multidimensionality, right? And so much of the old paradigm of, coaching, psychotherapy, healing, you pay this much for a session and then you get, we have to start. I learned through my own investing in myself and my own business and learning from others as well, that really I learned how to price through the level of transformation that I provide. This is so important for people to get, right? So I don't charge by the hour anymore. That's very three-dimensional, right? I charge by the level of transformation that I provide. And I am very much an activator. If you work with me and if you're committed and you invest and we are in this tight cocoon for 6 weeks together, working every day. We work every day, sometimes even in the ethers at night, right? It's a journey, right? And there's no hiding. It's not like you have to wait till next week to have another session with me. No, we are in a deep journey together. And and because of that, we're working on all the dimensions. And also because of that, it's very relationship based. So everything that needs to evolve will come up in our exchange, and you'll have a really loving, supportive cocoon and container, and also a strong framework of accountability. And this is what, it's very much on purpose and co-created between you and I. Hey there, I can't really see who that is, but hi. If you have any questions, just pop them in. So again, we create this beautiful cocoon, and it's tight. Like if you've worked with me, if you've done a workshop with me or a retreat or done any kind of coaching or training, I run a tight ship. There's no hiding. It's not like your shit's gonna come up, and if you choose to leave the container, that's your choice. But we really create an environment where you get to have the breakthrough, right? But you got to show up, you got to be committed, and you got to stay in the fire, right? Hi, Isabella. So good to see you. So number 2 is, and this is why I charge a premium for my mentoring, my trainings, my retreats, my services. Usually they're very intimate. They're smaller numbers, because there's an energetic exchange that takes place. The old model of charging those of you that are pricing per hour, the only time I do that actually is in my intro session. If you go to the link above on my profile in my bio, you can book a 30-minute session with me, but it's quantum. We don't, it's beyond that time linear space, right? That linear time and space, because we start working right when you make the payment. I send you a message, I give you an assignment, and the transformation is on. You set the tone, you set the purpose, and we are co-creating together. This is 5D business, right? This is 5D transformation, right? So the other piece of that is there has to be an equitable exchange. 5D is all about, it's not equality, because that's a little bit different. It's equitable in terms of energetic exchange, right? So we've got to create those containers that allow the transformation, right? Without really strong boundaries, without an investment, without understood agreements, right? That energy just kind of, it leaks. So I have learned over the years, and again, I've been in business for almost 20 years. It's like doing transformational work, using the arts for transformation and a strong coaching framework. If you don't have those tight containers, that energy just dissipates, and then people don't get the transformation that they're looking for, right? So there's really important to have that compassion, right? The feminine, the right brain, the intuitive compassion, and also a strong agreement, strong container, strong frameworks, and very much purpose driven. So it has to be equitable in terms of the exchange. If it's not equitable, it's out of balance. It's not, it doesn't support our wholeness. And if my commitment to you is elevating and supporting the expression of your wholeness, I'm going to hold you to that, right? I'm going to invite you to step into that and join me there. Also, as a facilitator, if I'm not honoring my own wholeness, if I'm not honoring my own needs, if I'm not honoring my own value, right? If I'm feeling guilty or shameful for my own gifts or for asking for money or holding people accountable to our agreements, then I'm not really serving anyone, and I'm certainly disempowering myself, and that doesn't really, support you. So Let me see some of these. Oh, thanks, Isabella. Hi, Adam. Okay. So that's number 2. So number 1, I have 20 years of experience of doing this mastery work, basically a 3-in-1 in terms of expressive arts facilitator, transpersonal psychotherapist, coach, and really it's evolved into multidimensional energy work with paint. That's why I call it paint medicine, because it is the only modality, and I'm so surprised that more people aren't talking about this. Painting is the only modality that is multidimensional that I have found, that I have worked with. Tapping gets there a little bit, but it's not as fun as painting, and it works in the quantum, and it goes nonverbal. Like, it goes straight to the heart, right? Gets us out of our head, into the body, into the heart, into the soul, and color, image, form, archetype, symbol, these are all languages of the soul. So if you want to drop down and get to your soul's truth, you want to start painting. That's the heart of the inner child work. It's to the heart of the soul, and really learn to crack the code of your own soul's language. Super powerful. Number 2 is honoring an equitable energetic exchange. I see so many people giving their stuff away for free. And, I offer my tool, the Creative Alchemy, for free as well. And it doesn't necessarily get people results unless they're committed to doing it. And most people need to be in an intimate mentoring, right, relationship where they are supported with a strong framework and accountability, and it's on purpose, and you're working towards a goal, and you're really integrating those right and left brain approaches. Or I just find people don't do it, because the reality is we have to use these tools and find our own will to be consistent with it, and really reprogram our lifestyle to use these clearing tools, to use these alchemy tools, rather than trying to change the external world. And that takes support. It takes mentoring. I've really found that. It really takes people to invest in themselves and say, hey, I want to do this and rewire a new pattern. Yeah. Any questions, just drop in the line. Number 3 is, this is deep, deep shadow work, right? The work that I do is deep shadow work. What is shadow work? It's basically trauma resolution. So it's soul retrieval, right? And so all the places where you have disowned subconscious aspects of yourself that have been fragmented from trauma, from conditioning, from disassociation due to trauma, any of those things, we work on reclaiming and setting those aspects free using creative expression, and mostly nonverbal. So we don't have to necessarily relive the trauma. We just have to go, I had a client last week I did a private session with, so powerful, and she was painting and she wasn't really connected to the painting, so we went into voice work, and she had an early childhood trauma where she was frozen in the body. She couldn't move, her voice was stuck, and we did some voice work, powerfully unlocked all this energy. I mean, it just shifted so much for her, and then she was able to go back into the creative alchemy process and paint and feel connected and feel less disassociated, as she was able to rewire the pattern from there. Huge, very potent, very, very potent work. And it takes someone to support you to navigate that, because when we're dealing with this deep, deep trauma, it's really important to have someone hold space for you, who has that experience, who's done that in their own consciousness, right? Because when we co-create with other facilitators, that are holding space for us, we need them to have that level of consciousness, because their consciousness is the energetics that are also activating and unlocking that energy within your own psyche. Yeah, a little bit of psychic surgery there, but I think you get my drift. So deep shadow work. Deep shadow work is really deep creative work, right? So deep creative work, when we free all that energy that's locked up in a karmic loop or a trauma loop, you know, and you're in a trauma loop when you keep, you know, attracting the same kind of dude, or, you know, that certainly was my experience for a long time. Or, you know, you keep having a repetitive cycle, you know, whatever it is. The same shit keeps happening. You know, that's a karmic loop or a trauma pattern that's going to continue to grow and get more and more intense until you set it free and you reclaim all your creative life force from that. So when you reclaim your creative life force from that, you have all this energy, right? You're able to expand into, it's really like an expansion into more of your wholeness, more in your full self-expression, and you have more life force, you have more creative intelligence, you're more access to your genius, you know, ideas come, solutions come, everything you need starts to magnetize, because we magnetize, right? Based on our emotional flow. Magnetism, emotional pull, right? The magnetic pole is the emotional pull. It's the emotional current. So when you are no longer sending all this life force energy to kind of repress this trauma and keep this pain, and, you know, it's really like this, this aspect that wants to be reconciled, right, into your psyche. If you're no longer like trying to keep that repressed, that energy gets freed, you integrate the soul fragment, and then you get, you know, incredibly elated. That's when the bliss states happen, and, you know, you're able to anchor more of yourself into a fifth dimension. So deep shadow work is deep creative work. So important. And what else do I want to say about that? Let me just tune in here for a minute. Great book. One of the first books my coach and mentor gave to me, like back in early 2000s, was by Debbie Ford. Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And it's all about doing shadow work to ignite your creativity, your brilliance, and your dreams. I mean, amazing book, right? So really, when we free our trauma, we free our creativity, we free our potential, we reclaim our voice. There's so many aspects to that, right? And deep shadow work is, you know, it needs a really strong container. It needs a certain, you know, I mean, safety is a funny thing, because yes, it needs safety. You need to trust your facilitator and the container that you have co-created together, right? But you also need to trust that your facilitator can take you out of your comfort zone and to have the breakthrough, right? So there really should be a strong container. What creates a container, and I teach this in my facilitator and mastery training, is, you know, investment. When somebody's invested in a container, it puts like an energetic grid around the work, right? Because they're putting their energy and their investment towards this co-creation. So they're committed, they're devoted to that change, right? So that's why I don't ever do trades for my work, especially for deep soul work, because there's no boundary, right? There's no business, there's no structure, there's no container in that, and it's too loosey-goosey for doing deep work. I learned that early on. So that's another reason why I charge a premium for my mentoring and for my work, because it actually serves my clients. You know, they're committed, everything is super clear, there's a structure, there are agreements in place. The container, it just backs up the container, and it keeps things super clean. You want to look for those too when you invest in a facilitator and a mentor. It's super important. Number 4 is people value the work, right? So I value my work. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've invested hundreds and thousands of dollars. I mean, probably, I would say at least $500,000 over the years. Of course, that's been over 20 years, but I'm very invested in my craft because I believe in it and I feel called and I love it and it's fun and it's totally cutting edge, right? It's really innovative, and it's very empowering. So I'm not necessarily doing anything to you except for maybe activating you, giving you the tools, but you're the shaman, you're the healer. We activate your own creative potential within you, right? Your ability to heal yourself, to express yourself, to evolve yourself, right? That's your sovereignty. That's your sovereign creator being, right? We're activating that and letting all the old illusions fall away so that you can claim your own inner authority. And I have told that to my clients and my students for so long. Don't believe what I say. Don't believe everything I say. Check in with your own truth. Trust yourself, try it on, experience it first, right? And that's also why I love creative experiences. Creative expression is because we're not just talking about it, we're actually getting you in the vibration, in your creator state, in the creative flow, activating your passion. You get a multidimensional experience of it every single time you work with me. Yeah. So you've got to value your work if you're a facilitator, and you've got to value yourself enough to invest in yourself, right? I always get a chuckle when I see these, these ads for learn art therapy and, for $13 on this course or whatever. It's like, first of all, art therapy is kind of it's definitely more pathology based and patriarchal in a clinical model. And so that model in itself is 3D, right? It's a 3D approach. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just limited, right? So, in terms of truly offering full healing for people, you've got to work with the multidimensional perspective, consciousness, and modality. You really do. You have to have it all. But yeah, so I remember I had a client a couple of years ago who's in my training program. She's like, oh, I just ordered this $13 art therapy course. And I'm like, good luck, with that. It's like, okay, if you want, Circle K training, then go to Circle K, right? But if you really want to deeply, truly heal and evolve and step into your own mastery and commit and really, truly have that breakthrough, gain that mastery, birth that vision, you got to invest and you got to do the work. This is the other pattern that I saw for a while, and I just feel called to name it. I remember having people that have trained with me in my year of mastery training, and I've been doing apprenticeships for, probably a decade now, where you get to train intimately one-on-one with me for a year. And, people would invest in this money and then think that they didn't have to do the work to actually get the certification or to complete the mastery training. And it's like, no, your mastery cannot be bought. So yes, it's important to invest, and it can't be bought. You still have to do the work. You still have to go through the initiations. You still have to do the soul retrieval, right? You still have to learn to grow, heal, and evolve. You can't just invest and then think that, oh, money, that's such a collective thing, right? This belief that, oh, if we just pay them the money that they're going to take care of us. I had an experience like that recently, where I caught myself, right? And that belief, and it's a total social program, right? And super, super important. I mean, just look at our current academic system and, university system. This is why I felt called to offer, my mastery training is like a master's program, right? It's super intensive, and it's an investment, and Just because you pay, just because you pay doesn't mean that you're going to get the transformation. You also have to show up and do the actual work. You're paying to be supported and to be guided and to be mentored and to have this beautiful year-long container, for example, or 6-week container, whichever one, like in my programs that I'm offering. And you receive that level of support and accountability and the framework and the curriculum. And yes, there's a linear curriculum, right? But it's usually not traveled through linearly. None of my programs are linear, right? They're all very shamanic and very much rooted in your own soul's purpose, in your work, how much work you've done, what your calling is, and how you're showing up, truly, how committed you are. Yeah, so valuing the work is so important, and it really does need to be a priority. Like, I only take on clients, especially my 6-week, I'm like, in the sovereign creative and the creative sovereign, I mean, it's like I always ask clients before I take anyone on, is this your number one commitment for the next 6 weeks? Because if not, I cannot work with you, and some people will be honest. They'll be like, I can't commit to this right now. And I'm like, okay, you're not ready for this level of transformation. It's super clear, right? Because if not, you will bring up any excuse, time, my kids, I've got this vacation, my family, this, that, I've booked this, it's like, it really doesn't matter, right? Hey guys, what's up? It really doesn't matter what it is, but the ego, right? The inner critic, whatever you want to call it, that negative, I don't even like to use positive and negative. Let's see how I want to reframe that. It's like the lower consciousness will do anything to distract you from the transformation. So you have to work with someone who knows how to navigate it and who's not afraid to call you out on your bullshit and say, hey, I know you hired me for this. I love you so much. I'm going to remind you this and hold you accountable, and also give you the tools to help you shift out of that and to do it in a loving way, but a firm way, because I want to see you get the results, right? So valuing the work. And being number 5 is seriously committed. If you're not committed to your own transformation, like, I can't be more committed to your transformation, to your results, to your sovereignty, to your freedom, to your business, to your financial goals. I can't be more committed to that than you are. Right? Because you've got to ultimately do the work, and then because when you do the work, then you get to reap the results, and not just the financial results or the, tangible physical results in the 3D. I'm talking about, you get the confidence, right? You get the increased self-esteem. You get the increased trust, faith, knowing, belief in yourself, confidence, courage. All of that comes from taking risks, investing in yourself, and doing the work. There's no other way. It's totally natural to have fears, and your shit's gonna come up big time when you make a commitment like this. And you either get to move through it and do it with grace and love and support and creativity and play and fun, and have someone who's really created a beautiful, safe container and who has your back. Or you can also do it on your own. I'm not saying that you can't. I certainly have at times, right? But I also have the tools and the training and the experience to back that up. So, but if this is new for you and you really need that kind of support to clear and resolve some of this unhealed trauma, it's really important that you have someone to hold that sacred space for you. Yeah, but you got to be committed to it. Wholeheartedly willing to be self-accountable. Like, I can't hold you accountable. I can certainly put the framework and the structure and the agreements in place to do that, to back your soul's code, your soul's vision, your purpose. But if you at the end of the day have to hold yourself accountable to that, right? To your own heart. And number 6 is abundance and wealth consciousness. So if there's a belief in scarcity, if there's a belief in limitation, if there is a belief in that money is a finite resource, energy is a finite resource, if you don't believe in your capacity to be able to create abundance for yourself and through releasing the trauma, unlocking those channels, then you won't be able to do it, right? And then when you invest in yourself, you'll feel limited. You'll feel like, oh, I'm not going to get this money back. And so that's a scarcity loss mindset. So when I work with my clients, we always do a wealth consciousness piece. Either it's in one of my online courses, The Abundant Creative, which you can find on my website, which is like beginner online course for ending the starving artist myth, ending the healer martyr myth, and really looking at those inherited messages around money and scarcity and survival and safety programs that keep people from investing in themselves and doing the work that they're called to do and creating their business and going for it and backing their visions. So that's it, my friends. Those are kind of the 6 things of why I charge a premium for my work. Also because it gets I only offer now, I think, the 30-minute private session for those that want to have an activation with me just to make sure it's a good fit, right? Link in bio if you want to check that out. Or the Creative Sovereign, which is a 6-week private mentoring program, because it gets the best results, right? The investment's $5,555. It's an investment. I get that. And it's an investment in you and in your emotional and financial freedom. You cannot have true financial freedom if you don't have emotional freedom. Well, what is freedom? Emotional freedom? It's the freedom to be embodied in your emotional body. You have to clear the emotional body out, right? We have collectively and individually and generationally, we have so much stuck, right, in our emotional body, and it keeps people blocked at the heart level, blocked from their own abundance and creating and receiving abundance because they're still running scarcity and survival programs, right, at the heart level. So we do in 6 weeks, we go deep into that, and we use whatever tools, whether it's creative alchemy, karmic alchemy, or any of the other transformational coaching tools that I use to support you in whatever you want to achieve within 6 months within your life and business, and really getting that freedom on an emotional level, on a financial level. The other thing I want to say about that too, I see a lot of money coaches, and I've worked with a few of them too, that focus on financial freedom. Whoever you're working with, if they are not addressing, right, the discordant energetics in the financial system, people are still not dealing with the attachments to money as your source. This is where we as a collective are being asked to evolve, right? It's so perfect. It's like life, source, God, whatever you want to call it. Life force is going to take money away so that you can reprogram and rewire where you are sourcing yourself, your abundance. It's not even just money. It's like everything that you thought was providing you safety, security, your own authority, outside authorities, systems, it's really big. And so this is coming up for a lot of people and for a lot of us to reclaim our power, reclaim our own voices, learn to trust ourselves, learn to activate that divine line, our own intuition, clear all the emotional programming, clear all the trapped trauma and the trapped emotions so that you can learn to alchemize it into life force, which is your true nature as a sovereign creative being. So if you want to join me, and if this sounds like something that you want to, that you feel called to do within yourself, private message me. Link is in my bio if you want to book a private session. I usually pretty much always start my clients off, if you don't know your soul's blueprint, we start there. soul's blueprint, soul's purpose. It's like a prerequisite to working with me on whatever track you're on, whether you're on the facilitator training, the mastery training, or the creative sovereign, which is true emotional and financial freedom. We totally unplug from all of these systems so that you can anchor in your high heart vision in the fifth dimensional new earth consciousness. I love you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Would love to know your thoughts. Drop me a comment below. And I'm sending so much love from Bali. Oh, and if you want to apply for the creative sovereign, just private message me. Much love. Bye for now.